Okay, I think it's about 12 o'clock. Happy New Year, everyone. See, we got quite a few on. Before we get started, I want to give one more minute, and then we'll kind of walk through and see who we have on, and then we'll turn the reins over to Miss Katie. Give it one more minute.
Jerome, are you on for IT? Is anyone on for IT?
Is somebody trying to log on? Is that what's happening, Brian?
Well, I need to get Judge Taylor moved over from an attendee to a panelist.
Okay, yeah, because I see IT logged, but I just don't see if there's anybody on.
Yes, I'll get in touch with them.
Okay, all right. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. Again, I really appreciate you guys willing to serve and join in as we kind of navigate through the study that National's courts did for us in the county. And now we have formed the CJCC that you're a member of. And again, I want to appreciate and thank you guys for being a part of that and serving. Let's walk through and make sure we see who we have on. Judge Lindsay, I think I see you on. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. And before I depart, I would like for everybody to know, so they're not wondering, there's a Tim Buckley appearing on the screen, and he has just been hired as my law clerk in Division 6. Tim practiced law, criminal law for 25 years and retired, and either he or Ms. Buckley decided he needed to go back to work. So I was pleased to see a lawyer with experience apply for the position, because I'd kind of assumed it would be a first-year lawyer or someone waiting to take the exam. But Tim clerked for me when he was in law school, so I know his work ethic, and I know he was a good lawyer, and I'm sure he's going to be a great help to me and hopefully to this committee.
All right, thank you, Judge. Counsel, I don't know, did Judge Taylor get switched over?
Yes.
All right, okay. Happy New Year, Judge. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine, Judge. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Counselor Durrett? Prosecuting Attorney Durrett, did you make it on? All right, what about Sheriff Helder? I talked with him earlier, don't know if he got connected. Sheriff, you make it on?
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Judge Story. Judge Story, you make it? Say it again.
No, he's not. He hasn't joined yet.
Okay, all right. What about Director Parker?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Happy New Year to you, Mike.
Thank you. You too.
What about Lois Paredo? Ms. Lulu?
I am here.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Chief Workman? Chief Workman? What about Judge Zimmerman?
Judge Zimmerman's not going to be able to make it today.
Okay. Judge Beaumont? Judge Beaumont? Counselor, we got you on. Denny Highslip, I think I saw you pop on. Did you pop on, Denny Highslip?
He's showing to be on, Judge.
Okay. JP Johnson, Lance Johnson, JP Johnson, you jump on.
I'm here, Judge. I'm on my iPhone and plowing new ground, so I don't know whether you'll see me or not, but I'm here.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you. Nick Robbins, Director Robbins, you on?
I am. I'm here.
Excellent. Good. And Happy New Year. I think we had some conversation. We're connecting sometime next week, right?
Yep. On Monday.
Yep. Frank Johnson, did Frank jump on?
No, Frank
Hey,
has,
Judge, Frank got listed as an attendee and instead of a participant. He just texted me.
Okay. So when we get a hold of IT, we can see if we can pull him across.
I did. Hey, Tim, can you ask him what the last 3 digits? It looks like he may be on his phone. If I can figure out which one of these phone calls is him, we'll get him moved over.
Okay.
Dr. Tyler, I think I saw you. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, and to you.
And Dr. Shackelford, President Shackelford, I don't know if I can't recall if he sent a note saying he was not going to be able to participate. President Shackelford, did you jump on? Yeah, I want to say he sent a note, and I also got a note from Shelley Cern from the National Center for State Courts. She's not going to be able to join us. And then we obviously have Katie Green, who's going to be helping and again continue to drive our training and facilitation of the CJCC. Miss Katie, how are you?
I'm very well. Happy New Year.
Excellent. Happy New Year to you. With that, let's go ahead. I think on the today's agenda, it may be small, but I think really the last meeting we had, we got the information disseminated that you got for us, some mock-ups of planner job descriptions and a couple of entities that may have actually put it out for hiring. So we got a chance to get that to everyone. Clearly, we're still working through your facilitation and the bidding process that you have to go through. So you'll help us walk through that process and where we are, and then what does the training look like going forward. So with that, Ms. Katie Green, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. Again, Happy New Year, everyone, and it's good to be back. It seems like it's been a while, November obviously being the last time we kind of got together and sharing that information, but I have been sort of working in between. We were able to get a budget for the year on December 21st, so that sort of kickstarted a lot of our work. So I was able to kind of begin thinking about how to put together the procurement process for bringing on additional expertise to help with the approach here, which I really feel is a great opportunity with the information already collected by the National Center for State Courts for that person to come in and being able to utilize that information and really start to help formalize the CJCC structure. So I think including really looking at how you are going to structure your meetings, who will be in attendance, your ground rules, all of that will come out of sort of discussions, and you all will be a part of developing that sort of framework for your CCJC. So as I said, I had sent you that information or sent it to the judge, and I believe it was disseminated to everybody regarding I kind of came up with some sample language for the criminal justice planner position, as well as sharing different examples of from localities about positions that are in place and active. My thinking is, if you have any questions about that, we'll have that discussion. And I just wanted to give you sort of an overview of the process, how we're moving forward with the technical assistance. So really, using the the assessment information and helping you gain some formal structure to your CJCC. That's going to sort of involve identifying technical assistance providers, subject matter experts, if you will, to sort of deliver the TA. I will be working in concert with that individual, as I have done in other TAs regarding CJCCs. And so I've identified those individuals. I have them on notice, basically. Our procurement process basically works that I have to sort of process it through my administration here, and then it posts out for bid, if you will, and then we select award the contract to the successful bidder. So that I anticipate needing about a 30 to 60 day window to do that. So I'm targeting like March 1 to have that person on board and involved in the process. So really, if you think about it, that's really not too far down the road as the way time goes, right? So I expect again to have, I'm targeting March 1 to have that person on board. And I think what we can do is we will begin with having that person sort of review all of the information that's already been collected. And I can see them sort of populating what we do as a systems map and sort of filling in some of those, that information that's already been collected. So we don't have to revisit this. We reinvent it, well, I should say, because I think we may revisit it based on what questions that person may have, and just to clarify some things. So I think that's the approach we will use. And so getting that person on board, getting them acclimated with and up to speed of what's going on, and then coming in, and then that person will, going forward, will facilitate the meetings. All of the meetings will take place virtually because we are not traveling, obviously, because of the pandemic. And so I think about this, that we're pretty much going to be in a virtual sort of mode, probably at least through our fiscal year, which is through September 30. And then if there's additional work that needs to be done that requires maybe some on-site visits, we can look at that for our fiscal year of 2022. Okay, so with that said, I believe the way that this is going to best work is that we take this meeting, if we start managing these meetings and taking them and inviting you to our meetings, and we will do that on our WebEx platform. So I will make sure that I have everybody's contact information, and you will be receiving WebEx invites from myself or the person that's selected. They will have an account with us also, so it'll be one of us. And so I would gather you like this time of day. You like meeting on Fridays at 12 o'clock your time. Is that a consensus? I think.
Yes, I think that was, for the most part, I think it really supported a lot of the judges' calendar. And again, while we do have some others who are not in the county system, the folks who are in the community who's it kind of hits their lunchtime possibly. And so again, trying to see what was best for everyone at large. The 12 o'clock on Friday tended to be the best for the board, for the CJCC.
Okay, that's good. But I anticipate once that person's on board and they sort of consumed all of the information, they may be reaching out to you individually to kind of clarify some information. So we'll be in touch prior to obviously trying to set up those appointments, but those will be individual meetings. And I recognize when we're moving to our platform that it doesn't allow for that public sector to be involved in the meetings, and I don't want to lose that because I think that's very important. However, I think how that can be accomplished is that it's communication strategies to present information to these individuals who are interested in what the work is being done with this board, to have a continuous sort of information strategies to get information to them, as well as receive feedback back. So I think that's important. And I could see if you choose to go down the route of hiring a criminal justice planner, that certainly comes in within their scope of work, their lane to kind of share those informations. That's worked really well. I can share with you from my experiences of managing a criminal justice planner that it was very important that communities stay engaged and involved in understanding what the board was doing. And we created some great strategies to do that, whether it's through kind of local stations or some sort of media format, whether it be printed or online. So I would be sort of willing to help that move along. So I think that's kind of our goal, is to obviously see this continue. So my work in the meantime is getting that person on board, which I hope, like I said, by March 1st. And I really want to, this is a little bit different for us in the sense that we typically, this process would really involve obviously some individual meetings via telephone conversations prior to us coming on site, if we were coming on site, and we'd be on site for a couple, 3 days. And that obviously changes now. So I'm going to try to make sure that we have a process that works for everybody. You know, I think it's hard to stay online for a long period of time, and we'll kind of start really, I think that's going to be us working together to kind of develop that schedule of what that will look like. Okay. But I'm willing to kind of spread it out a little bit to accommodate everybody's scheduling, and to recognize that it is a lot of work, and it's hard to do it all at once online. So we will try to break these up into work sessions and make sure that it's amenable to people, and certainly considering scheduling. And I think if you want to stay to this time frame, that would certainly be what I would be looking for from the person that we bring on board. Okay. So far, does anybody have any questions about what I've shared?
Ms. Katie, I did have one. I think in our November meeting, you were looking at, again, these meetings and maybe having a few more of those meetings with the facilitator that you're looking at, who will help work with you, who will drive the meetings and the training from the National Institute of Correction. Will they then really be the one to help figure out what those additional meetings would be, or the individual one-on-ones for them to do the deep dive?
Yes, they will be reaching out to you individually to set up, and they may be able to say, hey, here, I've been reviewed the report. This is some of the questions I have, and I want to spend some time to just maybe process that with you and gather any additional information that might have come out since that report. Okay. I think that's a good way to go forward. Any other questions?
Katie, I think Judge Lindsay has his hand up.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see the hands. I'm not sure where to. Okay.
I just want to make sure I understand what you've just said. I was kind of under the impression that because we were approved for you to work with us, that you were kind of going to facilitate these meetings, and then we would hire someone to be the county would hire someone to be I don't know if planner is the right word, coordinator, planner, whatever. Mm-hmm. But are you saying that your outfit, I'm sorry.
And I see, yes.
Hire the planner? Is that?
This is kind of, and that's first discussion today also, to see what you thought about the information I provided. It was at, and how you feel that would fit into for your organization. My role is basically to coordinate the technical assistance. And given that I've kind of have the experience, I'm sort of that second facilitator, if you will, for these meetings. And I'll just share with you briefly. I put together the statement of work, and basically the contractor, the person we hire, will kind of conduct the WebEx meetings and telephone calls with individuals. And I'm giving that up to a 3-month period to complete. It may not take 3 months, but let's kind of say that will give ourselves probably more room than we need. And then they're going to basically be in touch with you all after they've reviewed all of the information, all of the data, all of the documents, and then have interviews, like I said, individually, and then kind of look at at each of those key decision points. Once we kind of gather that, they're going to sort of populate, if you will, a systems map. And then what we like to do is to bring everybody together to look at that map together, that information together, and walk through that, and then sort of hold debriefing sessions to talk about some of the outcomes and some of and begin to develop the framework to address some of the opportunities and challenges. There might be some additional information that comes out of these meetings that we can include. But my goal and the goal of the technical assistance is really to get you to a productive body, policy decision-making body to improve your local criminal justice system's outcomes. Somebody's going to be needing to take the baton, if you will, to help organize these meetings given the agenda will probably be the recommendations coming out of the report. We'll kind of sit with you and work through sort of an action planning, but I kind of expect that person, or who, if you hire or somebody you have within, to really facilitate those meetings and being able to help kind of move that work forward to start addressing those areas. And I, after looking at the center's report, there's really opportunities throughout the criminal justice system, from point of contact, from law enforcement, and the points all the way through adjudication. So, and it's how you all want to prioritize that. That's going to be your decisions at that point. Does that make sense, or did I answer your question, Judge?
I think you did, but I want to make sure. You foresee that that your office will hire someone to give us technical assistance for the time being, and then at some point in time, do you foresee the county hiring a coordinator, planner, or whatever to kind of run the show on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and that's going to be your decision. If you're going to hire somebody, I can share with you that my experience was I did bring somebody on, and when I was putting together and really fortifying, I guess, my CJCC with a staff person, I initially had a part-time person because I didn't have the funding to support it full-time, and then I was able to bring that into a full-time position as I shared with you that I had gone for burn money and was able to support that, and I really got 100% funding the first year, down to 25 the fourth year, but the counties kept putting in that difference. So, and that at that point they decided, hey, this is worthwhile. This is really we want to invest in this position. It's really helped us move our agenda forward, and we are getting things done. So I'm not going to require that, but I just think I've seen there's a big difference between those CJCCs that have staff dedicated to their board and those who don't. There just seems to be a lot more ability to get things done when you have that person. Okay. I have my participant thing up. Does anybody else have any question? Okay. So I gave you a little bit of the scope of work that we're going to be pushing forward. And then I'm thinking in February, I would like to just give you an update of where we are with things and trying to keep the ball going, if you will, and probably bring some ideas to the table as far as how we can sort of continue to move forward. I will help continue with working with you if you choose to hire a planner and working with you in that area. But at this point, that's kind of where we are with the TA process. And I just want to see if you all want to continue or have any questions about the criminal justice planner information that was provided to you in November.
On the planner, again, some good information, at least to give people something to chew on and think about. And I think you just alluded to it as well just now. And I think Judge Lindsay and I, we may have visited, to have a planner hired to help facilitate or coordinate whatever it is, if it's a coordinator or a planner, whatever the title is called, as Judge Lindsay said, the timing, I guess, should it be closer to some of the back end when we have kind of figured out our guiding principles and charter, or as far as what we're going to be doing, how we're going to lift the study and what priorities we're going to have. So when they come on, they actually do have a sense of direction and how to work through what they're going to be charged with as a hiree. And again, the second part of that, which I think we've had some discussions before on, is should that be a part-time person initially until it's necessary or needed to have and be a full-time person versus bringing a full-time right off the bat until we know all of the responsibilities and the work that's going to be expected, et cetera.
Yeah, I just think that going from that part-time to that full-time is going to, you're going to get probably a different applicant pool for each if you do part-time versus the full-time. That would be the only, I think, challenge there. I will say that if that person is engaged in the process, they're going to get sort of on-the-job training, if you will, working with us and the technical assistance provider. So there's a lot of opportunity for that person to get really engaged and gain understanding of the process and really getting technical assistance, if you will, to help that person with their job, in a sense, to help them be, successful at what we're attempting to get done here. So, any other questions? Okay. So just a thought here. I know you meet every month, and I was wondering, would that be to continue the momentum, if you will, and not just to meet, but talk a little bit about where we are as far as the process, and then I will also engage you in some activities conversation around moving forward with the technical assistance. Would you be willing to have a meeting prior to that person coming on, or would you like to wait until I have the technical assistance provider on? I just want to get a sense here.
I would be willing to leave that in your discretion. If you think there's anything to meet about,
okay.
But if it's really just a meeting to go, well, I hadn't brought this other person on board yet, so we really don't have anything to talk about.
Right. And I think if I can do this, if I have information to share, I can do that via email and keep you informed that way. How's that? Okay. All right. So if my thinking, again, if we have this done like I anticipate, which would be March 1, that your fourth meeting would be the 26th of March. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll target that date. I would say that some of the future meetings with the TERP and moving forward, there might be a need to come up with a meeting schedule outside of this meeting, but I think that we'll leave that for the kickoff meeting on the 26th, and I will do it on a WebEx invite, and we'll go from there. Okay.
That's fine, and I think we may have already got that the roster to you, the CJCC members, but we'll make sure that we get the CJCC members contact information and numbers to you again. Make sure you
Okay.
have that readily available.
Great.
And go around. Let's go around and see if anybody had any thoughts about the information that they got on the planner, even though it may still be some time away until we get the facilitator going to help us start kind of navigating. What the initial thoughts and impressions that you have? If we just want to walk around and see if people had any additional thoughts, if it's that or anything else. Dr. Tyler or Nick, you guys want to jump in and just have anything to share on that?
So just so I'm up to speed, do we have like a laid out, like here are the 5 things we need to get accomplished? Because I think right now everybody's just jumping on these meetings waiting to get something to chew on, and it seems like each meeting we just talk about the same couple things, and it's not real action steps for us as a committee. So are we waiting to start working on things till March? Is that what we're saying? Or is there some agenda items that we could start discussing?
Well, and I think that's what the first one was, the looking at the planner piece. From what I gathered, as Ms. Katie talked about, was the facilitator, once we get that person on board, will help us as a CJCC figure out where we are, what we're going to be doing, what priorities we should be looking at in regard to the study, and then how will we manage and who will take on what. Do we have subcommittees? I don't know, something to that effect, as well as when do we bring the planner on to help in that process? So when the handoff does happen, we have a planner who can kind of help, or a coordinator who can help us do that. Ms. Katie, I mean, that's all I've been picking up since in all our meetings. But again, I hear you, Rob, Nick, and again, if there's something more to that, Ms. Katie, do you have any more?
No, I think that's right. I mean, we really, I think it's the meetings will be about structuring and formalizing the CJCC. Okay, and then as we get that structure in place, then we're going to go through that systems mapping that I discussed and really look at what information's been gathered at each decision point. My understanding is that the National Center for State Courts did sort of individual kind of meetings with you, and to bring that all together, right, and have it done collectively will give us a different look at things. And it's important for everybody to see how each of the decision points, what's going on in those areas, and then have to be able to see how that may be impacting some of your activities, some of your work. And we'll kind of, and I like it more so because it gives a greater understanding of how the system works, and in some cases how it's not working, and maybe where there's some challenges. So well, I think that's best to be done when we formalize the structure, and so that will be sort of the second step, if you will.
Did that help you out a little bit, Nick?
I don't know. What I'd say is, what are the steps that we need to accomplish before a month from now when we jump back on here so that we can get started?
Okay, you want to get started is what?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think what I'm going to do is pull together some specific questions that I've gathered from the report, and I can send those to you to have those. You can start working on those, and then that can be shared with the individual who we bring on board. And so again, that'll get things moving forward. So if there's anything that's coming out of there that says, hey, I need some additional information on this, or is this correct, we can kind of do that work. Okay.
So do you suggest in the next 30 days before the next meeting that we go ahead and hire that position on our end so they can jump in here and get going?
I think that's probably that's going to be your decision, but you want that person engaged and working. And I know that we're not going to really get into the meat of this work until we bring the person on from my end, because they will sort of be facilitating the meetings to structure the board. And that's, I think, when you're going to see the work start. And then once that's organized, in determining what those priority areas are, that's the work plans, sketching that out and kind of looking at, those are when responsibilities are going to come, workload is going to build at that point. So that's going to be, excuse me, a decision for you all to make. I think you want them at a point where they're going to be able to absorb the process and start working also on some of the initiatives.
Okay.
Judge Wood, this is Laura Tyler. I think it will be helpful for us to have those questions. I'm sure everyone is probably like me, wanting to know, how their individual organization or the service that they represent can, come together. And I'm sure my priority would be very different than some others, but those questions could probably at least get some of that streamlined.
Okay.
And I appreciate that we're on the call today, because it signals to me that although this is taking some time, it's still a priority, and that, we are still on alert to step up and get some work done. So those are favorable things. And, I hope that if you sense our impatience, it's because we really know that we have opportunity in our communities, and we want to be a part of bringing solutions.
I would be certainly happy to continue the work here and get this and have the individual prep the individual who's coming on board and bring them up to speed, so we're not going back and just moving forward with this process. So the only thing I think I would need is at this point is to make sure I have everybody's contact information.
Anyone else have anything they wanted to ask, share?
I don't know that I want to ask anything, but I'm hearing from Nick and Laura, and just that we're ready to roll, and I'm not unlike that. But I also know reality is it'd be very unlikely if we started today that the county could hire somebody within that month time frame. So maybe this is more for you, Judge, is what does that time frame really look like on the county's end to try and get that process going? Thank you.
Well, I think, again, it's going to be the pleasure of the CJCC. The larger part is, again, what is the training that the CJCC is getting from the facilitation and the priorities. And once we know where we're going and how we're going, to say, okay, if we hire someone, now we know what they're going to be asked to do, who they're going to be responsible for, obviously the cost. We'll get that posted out. We would have to obviously go to the court to get the appropriation done, to get them on board, and then go from there. But again, I think, as I'm listening to Ms. Katie here, the timing and when, again, if we had somebody on the sheriff's team or prosecutor's team or even my team to do that work today, what work are they doing? Because the CJCC is still working through and getting formed and we have to go through the training that NIC is looking at. So there would not be any work that they would be doing per se, or lifting or managing or coordinating, until we get through that phase of it, the formation of the CJCC. Again, the guiding principles, what is our end goal of this CJCC? And then how do we begin to prioritize and work toward that? Then that marching order for the coordinator, I think, could then make sense. But again, I don't unilaterally make that call. I think it's going to be us as a CJCC to do that. And again, the other part is whether it be part-time to full-time, based on the workload and how fast they'll get to part-time to full-time, if it's a different audience, et cetera. So anyway, that's my insight, Sheriff. I think it's a timing thing.
Right. I think more than anything, that needed to be said because I know outside of government, people are going, well, it's not that hard to hire somebody and get them in place, but there's really steps before that happens that this group is going to have to clearly identify what that person's going to look like. But in county government, it's going to be a month after that before somebody actually can get probably on board. So that person is likely down the road 2 to 3 months, right?
I think you're about right. If it's going to be about 2 to 3 months of getting the facilitation and training done for the CJCC, even if it's say 3 months, that let's say it's May, June, that most of the facilitation and all that's cleared away, and we go ahead and look at March, April to go through the vetting of the position and get somebody hired, they can at least do some overlapping in that last month of training, dissemination to do the handoff, if that's about the right time when we again have got through the training, got through the facilitation piece that NIC is talking about.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And we're probably looking on down the road to midsummer before that person's really here. At least that's the way I'm hearing this. So, but anyway, great information and thank you.
I've got a question for JP Johnson. I know ultimately you're going to have to get the folks at the quote unquote to buy off on it. Would we be able to kind of get that approval for an amount of funding in advance and just say like, hey, we're on, here's the money set aside? Because that in itself is going to, you know, like Sheriff Heller's saying, that could take a while. But if we kind of work down that road in advance, then once we are ready and once we start doing some interviews, it may not take as long. What's your thought, JP?
Well, the answer's a definite maybe. We tried to take that approach last fall, and the response was that we need to know what we're spending this money on before we allocate it. Now, with some additional information, I am willing to go to the court and see if we can get some money set aside so that we can maybe speed that process up. But and again, we've got a new court that met for the first time last night. So I don't know their pleasure at this minute, but with a little bit of information about, I've got to know about what we think we're going to spend and about what we think we're going to spend it for. And I'll be willing to go back and attempt to get the money allocated.
Well, I don't think we know enough right now to tell the quorum court we want a full-time person, we want a part-time person. And I think we need to be very careful about that because, as has already been mentioned, if we put out an ad for a part-time person, we're going to get a whole different group of applicants than if we need at some point a full-time person. So I think, you know, we have asked the National Institute of Corrections to help us get this thing started. And I don't know about anybody else, but I've never done one of these before. And Ms. Green has. And so I think right now we need to accept her recommendations. And if I understand them, and I think I do, it's just, you know, it's not the right time to hire someone at the county level yet. And I'm not sure we could tell them exactly what we needed right now anyway. But if Mr. Johnson, Lance can get them to say, well, we'll put aside some money and then you can tell us what it is later that you need it for, then that's great. But I just think we need to follow Ms. Green's advice right now. And what I seem to hear her saying is it's not quite time to hire that person at the county level yet.
Anyone else, any other thoughts, comments? Two things. One, did Frank Johnson, did you get on?
No, Judge, he, shortly after we talked, he, I guess, dropped off and he's never jumped back on.
Okay, all right. And I'm trying to think, did anybody else jump on Shackelford? He did not, right? I think Shackelford and Michelle were the only two to send me a note.
That's correct.
Okay. Ms. Katie, any final, I guess, any wrap up? And again, I think we're looking, I think you said March,
Yes.
was that March 26th?
Yes, that's the fourth Friday of the month. But in the meantime, I will be in touch with everybody via email with some information to gather information from you to kind of clarify some things that came out of the National Center for State Courts report.
Excellent, excellent. Well, with that then, thank you guys all for joining and coming on and spending your Friday afternoon with us again. Miss Katie, thank you. Give our best to Miss Lori.
Will do.
Appreciate you guys for, again, working with us and getting our looking at our criminal justice system and how we can work to improve it. And so looking forward to seeing where we come in March.
Great. Yeah, I look forward to the work. I think it is worthwhile, and I think this is a great group of folks to move this forward, and I see promising results from this.
Appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Judge. You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.